ma se resume en Ecuador.
Happy holidays! I've got a gift for you. Buy 4 tarot readings or coaching session gift codes in any combination, and you'll receive 2 additional gift codes too. So use all 6 codes for yourself or share them with friends and family as holiday gifts, stocking stuffers, or maybe even birthday presents. These don't expire, so you can feel free to use them and share them throughout the year. Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for being my friends. Hi Leo, this is your weekly reading for the week of December 28th through January 3rd. I apologize, these are a little late. I decided to spend Saturday night in the hospital at the emergency room. I didn't really know what kind of exhaustion it was going to be, but there was a few things going on, nothing serious. It did set me back, though. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. The first card we've drawn for you is the Nine of Cups. This is wonderful because we're going to start off this week with the energy that will carry through and set the tone of blessings, something that you were hoping would come to pass, resolving in a way that is to your liking, in your favor, something that may even be a dream or a long held wish could come through for you now. So, of course, some people have an idea that money is very important to them, more important than usual, not just the basic living expenses. And then also there are people that the Nine of Cups will relate to having improved health and feeling good. And perhaps there are any number of things that could be blessings in the physical world that are important. And for you specifically, only you would know what that is. But I'm happy to see this card manifest for you to set the tone for the week. On Tuesday, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse, which is really not warning of any kind of lack or anything such as this. This is just a card that indicates it would be prudent to begin to set up your budgeting goals, your financial goals for next year. So, of course, these considerations take time, especially when we're saving up to buy something that we really want or need, and where we're budgeting, taking away from expenses to allocate for savings to see how much we can put aside for whatever material item we need. And that could even include things like blood pressure cuff for home, smartwatches to monitor blood pressure and to monitor other vital signs. And that will be important for you in 2016, which we will talk about in your reading for the month. That will coincide with what you need to watch for. And gaining weight is something that could manifest for you. So if you're underweight, no problem, right? Can't be a bad thing. And if you are not at your weight goal, you need to really get in order what your goals are for your health and fitness, because yours is one of the signs that will be potentially at risk for gaining excessive weight. So we know that really the appearance of weight isn't always what is problematic, right? That could be a fashion problem. But what we don't want to do is to end up in a situation where we haven't worked on these goals. And then at the next doctor checkup, oops, there goes another 5 pounds. There goes another 10 pounds. For some people, that's not a big deal. I'm only 5'2 3/4", so every pound shows. So just make sure that you're making budget considerations, even for not just your regular expenditures or the shiny thing you hope for, but I see that there will be health and fitness gadgets for your home and for your person, such as wearable technology, that will really bring you a sense of control and thereby creating a sense of peace and positive outlook for even your health goals for 2016. And again, I promise we'll talk about that. Sun in Capricorn sextiling Neptune in Pisces. Capricorn is your solar sixth house of that health energy, of your wellness and your body maintenance and nutrition cycles and habits. This is exactly the house that we would like to see coincide with making a concerted effort to improve your health, first by loving yourself and accepting yourself and knowing that you are already wonderful and perfect. And then, of course, by making the commitment to yourself, to your health, which by expansion will affect other people in your house. And they will want to get fit and healthy with you. And if you live alone and your family members are your fur friends and your fur babies, then of course this will benefit them by not just taking your evening constitutional, but taking your pet with you, because we don't want to see pets become overweight either. It does just the same kind of damage for the dogs to carry a few extra pounds, and it's really very, very helpful to take them with you so that they're included, so that they're happy. Make sure that your pets, if they're dogs, for example, are wearing the right kind of harnesses, because we don't want to choke them across the neck. That we have the right kind of gear for the weather. If you have a dog that doesn't have a heavy coat, and even if their coat is just not dense enough, because in cold parts of the country, our dogs live inside. My dogs live inside all year anyway, but in colder parts, of course, they're inside. So make sure that these plans to work with your physical body in your sixth solar house also extends to your fur babies, so that they don't suffer the consequences of increased girth either, right? It's not a fashion situation, but hey, I'm not a dog. Maybe they really do take it very personally and don't want to look at the mirror either. This Sun in Capricorn is sextiling Neptune in Pisces, your solar eighth house of, guess what? Transformation. So you have every potential for excellent and guaranteed success with your health goals and your weight goals, because anything happening in the eighth house that is stimulated by the sixth will definitely bring about healthy changes that will transform you in more ways than just the obvious, right? You don't have to fit into the jeans you wore in high school. I know there's some of us, I'm one of them, who keeps jeans from high school to just really punish myself. We don't really have to do that, but I think it's kind of funny to look at them and say, wow, so a few babies later. But we need to be mindful that transformation requires action. The Sun in sextile to Neptune is not going to do it on its own. It will sextile to provide you an opportunity. So this is where we can really help ourselves along by saying, I ate out more than I did cook this year. And I know it. I know it's wrong. I know it's bad for my body. I tell people, look, a day to go out to eat dinner is Valentine's Day, is maybe St. Patrick's Day. Set that for the holidays. Your budget will thank you, and your body and your health, especially in the future, will thank you as well. And you know how I say the truth about things like fast food, okay? These are not conspiracy theories. We're the ones that open our mouths and insert things that are ordered through a drive-through. That, my friend, is the first thing you should cut out, as well as processed foods that are what some people call cooking, right? They put it in the oven, set it to 350. I'm making dinner, honey. No, 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 no. We're warming up something that's full of preservatives unless it very specifically says no preservatives. And even so, we're faced with the reality that these are processed foods. It is not the same as getting nutrients, and it's not the same as taking those nutrients and putting in a body that doesn't get up and move. So do those things, make that commitment. The opportunity is here. I have faith in the sextile energy for you. The force is strong. So here we also have Mercury in Capricorn, your solar sixth house, making a square aspect to Mars in Libra. Now, Libra being your solar third house of communications, Capricorn, that sixth house, we have to make sure that we practice what we preach, or that we don't just create resolutions to break them. In fact, I really don't make any resolutions because I shouldn't have to wait once a year to incorporate better and more challenging exercise opportunities, or I shouldn't wait until Chinese New Year for the next excuse, right? And then for the spring equinox for the last set of excuses, and then I'll come up with 50 more for you. So here we just need to make sure also that we're careful about what we express, especially at work, Leo, because there is an energy that will carry through a little this year. And so I'm giving you a heads up that you could not only take something as criticism when it's meant to improve your performance and to help sharpen your skills, to hone them, and or to put you on a better trajectory for improved success, but we could also be hypercritical of others in that we think we're bringing balance to the force. I love Star Wars. I'm sorry. I have to do this. You know I have to. I did it before with the last set of the last three new movies, which were really the first three movies. And so I have to do it again. So consider that you may have your opinions like we all do, but the kiss of death for you this year would be to express yourself at work, with the people that you work with your clients, with your clientele, with your associates, because the danger is that you kind of misread what your opinions are versus whether somebody was actually soliciting your opinion or they actually asked you for advice, because it could be that somebody just says, well, I'm sick of carrying these 25 pounds around. They're saying it at work, and I have to do something about it. I mean, I'm just as unhealthy as I can be. Ugh. And then you see them buying what? Fast food lunch. Now, the inclination with this aspect would be to say, well, you wouldn't have to complain. It wouldn't be a source of anxiety for you and for your body image if you would just quit eating all that fast food, because, I counted and you ate out 2 times this week. You are just causing yourself your own problems, and then you didn't even notice that they are giving you the glare of death. They have you in a death stare lock, and you are just going to be sucked in to whatever they have to dish out. So just be very careful. Remember that opinions are something that we don't just go saying. We can, like I always remind people, right? Facebook pages are like houses. We don't go to somebody's Facebook page or respond to their post to contradict them or to argue with them or to tell them what to do or give them our most loving opinion. It's not always received well, right? So what we do is we stick to our own pages, and if we don't have something neutral to say to somebody we love, or if they did not open the subject for discussion by saying, I invite you all 5,000 of you, to debate me on the next presidential election, unless somebody gives you an open invitation, the danger with this aspect and the way that it will carry forth into the year is that it could actually cause you problems at work, and we don't want that. We want you happy and excited about whatever job you do, whatever work you do, which this year you have very, very good aspects for doing work that can be financially beneficial for you, doing something that you know how to do, and doing it well. So again, just be mindful of that square. It's one of those squares that kind of here and there we go, ooh, I forgot. Oops, thank you for catching me. Whoa, I just said what I really felt. and I did it on your page. So we just have to be mindful of this. Page of Pentacles in reverse can just also indicate that maybe you overspent on Christmas, and look, there's no crying over spilled milk. If you didn't have it under control, if you forgot what your promises to yourself were last year for this year, which I remember a lot of you were saying, I'm just never going to do this again. I'm just not going to get myself into to debt for this. I will not apply for credit cards. I'm credit card debt free. I don't want it. And then what do you think happened this year? So make sure that you find a way to positively reduce the anxiety by, again, planning for your finances in a way that is conducive to your best financial health, and to also reduce the anxiety, which will make you, in the long run, happier, healthier, and more at peace. On Wednesday, the card you drawn is the King of Wands in reverse. So the King of Wands in reverse refers to as a male. It could be a masculine, female, and sometimes it could just be either or, but I tend to read them somewhat discriminately and then add, the alternate ending, if you will, in which, thank you, Bruce Jenner. Now I don't know what to ever say. So the King of Wands in reverse is talking about a man who is somewhat immature, impulsive. Think of Aries when they're not at their best. Think of the other fire signs like yourself and like Sagittarius when you're impulsive, whether at a decision or making some important consideration, whether you're being impulsive at the counter and those impulse items like that candy bar screaming your freaking name, except it's, expensive chocolate and it's going to cost you about $5. So consider that being impulsive is not healthy and that there's no hurry this year whatsoever. So if you are the person who's exhibiting these impulsive symptoms, get those under control and you'll feel in control. Control them. That's what you're supposed to do. If somebody else is acting this way around you, which would have to be somebody close enough to affect your energy, to affect you in your sphere of influence or in the sphere that influences you, then we know that this person has some significance. It could be a coworker, like the guy who walks in every day looking like he rolled out of bed, looking like he doesn't care about how many new notches he poked into his belt because his shirt's not tucked in. It doesn't matter. This could be one of those people that just gets on your nerves and they're impulsive and they wreck projects and they cause problems because they don't plan for problems at work. And, each of us, even if you think that your job at the gas counter isn't pertinent, that it really doesn't serve anything. Yes, it does. You're serving everybody freaking all day, all the time, all day, all night, Marianne. You know where that comes from. So this is where, of course, you have a huge role. You're in contact with people constantly. And if your attitude sucks, you're going to stink up their attitude. And most of you already know that, right? So this could be a person that you encounter at work that you or this person or somebody made an honest mistake and wasn't taking into consideration that if you just rip through the inventory, you're going to have hell of a lot of questions to answer at the end of the reporting period. I know one store in particular near me that they do inventory on specific items every single night. They even have a little stick to measure the depth of the cigarette boxes to make sure that they're not being stolen or smoked up. Look, Idaho is just kind of like, I hope it goes away, but it is somewhat of the smoking capital of this time zone, I think. But we have to kind of be careful with him because his impulsivity can also be interpreted as quick to judgment, quick to anger, quick to criticize. Whatever he says, if it's coming at you, disregard it. This is not one of those people. This is like where a fire sign is losing it and they're just like acting like they can tell us all what color the sky is. And your job is not to correct this person and to teach them where they're wrong. You don't reward the behavior by just pretending like it's all good. You can walk away and or retrieve your energy, pull it back away from them so that they're not touching it, because this is impulsivity. This is like the person who gets in the car, who goes on the road trip, who doesn't have AAA or any other towing insurance, who doesn't have gas money, who doesn't have money for motels should something happen. You know what I mean? This reminds me of my nephew, but this is one of those things that we have to be very diligent about, even as if to say, I'm going to do inventory on my own without his help because I don't trust his numbers. I don't trust what he does. You don't have to tell him that. That's how you can protect yourself as well. We also have Venus in Scorpio, your solar fourth house of your foundation, your home, your base of operations, even if you are self-employed, whether you work out of your home or somewhere else in another building. This also tends to show different symptoms depending on what objects and what the aspects are, of course. And so this could be just that foundation that makes you feel stable. It semi-squares Pluto and Capricorn. Again, that's solar sixth house of work. That's why I'm saying you need to just focus on doing what you need to do that makes you secure, and not chiming in or talking about the work experiences. I have a relative who does this, and I never knew when she was going to stop. I don't even notice anymore because I just don't pay attention. I don't even have her followed, but where I used to think, wow, one day this will come back to bite your ass, this hyper criticism. And I thought, this is the last person who should be posting these things because of her position. So this is where I would say, keep your private thoughts private. Don't mix it with your solar sixth house. Now, if it relates to any other issue that is not necessarily the criticism, then this could also indicate that you're feeling insecure in your financial considerations for what makes your base, your home, secure. Maybe you've got a mortgage and you don't even have 1 month's mortgage saved up for an emergency. It's like gotten to that point, right? Where you haven't even done that. We could look in the garage and there'd be all kinds of accoutrement, but there's not 1 month's, not even one. And so this is where we need to work on through the sixth house of your habits. And this would include your budgeting, and this would include everything else, because with Mercury there, where it will retrograde into, it'll take a step forward into Aquarius, your solar seventh house, and then it will take another step back in about 8 or 9 days, and it will return right back into Capricorn. So my thought is here also that perhaps you need to spend some time figuring out what it is about your home life and your environment and the way that you interpret it and or talk to yourself about it, negative self-talk, or basically any self-talk that isn't productive is worthless, really. Okay, sometimes we have conversations with ourselves. I'll have a conversation all about brushing my dog when I'm brushing my dog, but it really is very neutral at that point. But if I were brushing the dog and bitching about the plumbing that I constantly have to work on, well, then you'd know that I'm also not utilizing that mercurial impetus, which also gives us the ability to plan ahead, to itemize, to also list things out, and to prioritize. Mercury is very helpful there, and in retrograde you have no choice but to go over your daily routines and your habits and your service to others, your service to yourself, or whatever, but you have time to work on it. So even dialogue, even if you'd really like to tell somebody where to stick it, learn to just say, I'm going to write this on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to put it through the shredder, at home, not at work, at home. Now, the difficulty with the Venus and Scorpio semi-sextile to the Pluto and Capricorn is that we can't really readily locate where the problem is. So you know that there's something that has to be changed, and either you're in denial or you can't see it. Let's say your husband or wife or significant somebody or roommate spends a bunch of the community money for the bills and for the necessities and for the savings on something stupid, and all of a sudden you come home and there's a brand new tool chest with every single the Snap-on truck threw up in your garage. Well, these are times that we need to really pace ourselves with our dialogue and maybe say, well, maybe I enabled this because I said, honey, go do what you want, but you didn't know that they were going to buy all of the inventory that one Snap-on tool truck had. I'm not a Snap-on pimp. I'm just telling you something that I can associate with. So also here, this is where maybe you've allowed too much spending with a partner of yours, where we take that one step into Aquarius, And thus you did it because you're spending a bunch of money on something that anyone else or your partner, if you really criticize each other, would say, that's useless. It isn't income producing. And you could say, well, that's useless because of all of your tools sitting on those padded little cushions in your snap-on trays aren't making us any money either, right? So we want to kind of think about where the real issue is. Venus will move into Sagittarius, your solar fifth house of family, creativity, your home life, your children, creative pursuits, your business. If you are self-employed, it will have you working harder to analyze whether your self-employment is working and producing income, or if you really are a person who for tax purposes needs to lose money. So you've got that, business that flops around and wants to die, and we throw it back into the water long enough to take a breath, and we pull it back out before the IRS looks at it so that we say, hey, look, they're struggling. But so just keep in mind that this will help you if you so choose to employ the energy, locate where the leaks in finances and in other creative pastimes might have led you. And that will give you time without any hurry. But, of course, we need to think about these things, right? Because we can never count on money coming in. We can have our jobs and appreciate them and be grateful for them. And they don't have to be there the next day. Hey, any company can fold. And then what do we do? So this is one of those years that last year, the theme for you was also about planning and being more proactive, saving money, not spending what you don't have. If you don't have it in cash, or if it's not free and clear after all the bills, that's what life was teaching you last year. And also not to be so overconfident that you say, well, I can always make more money. And then if it doesn't happen the way you want, because doesn't the universe work that way, right? It almost is like a vacuum. We send the resources in one direction without planning for a delay, and the universe says, well, I would replace those resources except you applied them wrong, so now I've got to hold on to them so you can figure out what you did. So this is really an extension of last year's energy about being grateful for what you have, but also being responsible for the resources that you've been given. On Thursday, we've got the Queen of Wands in reverse, and this coincides with Venus in Sagittarius, again, that solar fifth house, in a sesquiquadrant of Uranus in Aries, Aries being your solar ninth house of legal issues, education, immigration, naturalization, higher education, spiritual expansion, philosophies. And so this is a very long distance type of house, so it could even indicate thoughts and any considerations related to living at a distance or someone living in a distance from you, and those considerations which, where appropriate, you would know. The Queen of Wands is just like the King of Wands in reverse, and for whatever reason these two have shown up together, I always take them to be clues that there are two people that are either working against each other, or they are too similar in their habits, and now they are creating a dysfunction beyond belief. So let's use a hypothetical in case you're wondering. It could be a best friend of yours that you two get together, and what do? You go, well, let's go window shopping. We won't buy anything. Let's just go hang out and, get a diet soda somewhere. And then you go out, and what do you girls both do? We've got you spending money on things you didn't need, and then enjoying the moment because it's like a drug, isn't it? And then getting home going, oh my God, I got to hide this all from my husband. But he's going to find out when he sees the credit card because it wasn't any magic cash you had. So we could have two people, two best friends, two close associates, two business partners. We could have a husband and a wife that are too similar in that way. They get money, they blow it all. They have every toy and accoutrement, but they don't own their home, so they're getting killed on their taxes every year. So think how this would apply to you, and let me explain to you where the out or the exit for this sesquisquare is. So what I want to say is that the exit sign is lit over the word action. It will not solve itself if you do not resolve together. This could be your parent that lives with you, and maybe they're just going to the market and spending the grocery money. I knew somebody that this would happen to like clockwork. Spend all the grocery money on a bunch of junk food and strange things. And then his son would come home and say, what did you buy? With, $100 was supposed to last 2 weeks, and there's ho-hos everywhere. So this is really where the idea is, without hurting anybody's feelings, someone must, if not you, it's the other person, whichever one can come out stronger. But remember that this is a difficult one to solve, in that if you are with someone too much like you, what do? You enable each other. So you might as well, I'm not going to say it's a series of smoking crack, because Jesus, we always hope people don't do drugs, but there's always got to be somebody. Now, together, this energy speaks to taking responsibility, and the solution is in the action. So action can resolve the conflict, or in this case, dysfunction. If this is your roommate and they let their friends come over and eat up all of your healthy foods, before you know it, they made a stir fry with your veggies and burned it all, did a crappy job, and it ended up in the trash, and you're like, okay, that's it. This is where the buck stops here, and this is something that you can do. Because either way, I don't know, these would be fire signs, and it doesn't have to mean that both of you are fire signs or even fire rising signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It could be that you guys both together, you and your girlfriend, or could be you and your guy friend, and your, maybe even your spouse or significant other. And so here, the astrological association wouldn't be as important as recognizing that there's something really trippy going on, but it's more like flaky. Okay, it's a lack of responsibility, inability to take responsibility. This could even be happening with your children. This could be one of your children, if not more, who maybe they're married or they're not, or they always need money, but they just don't seem to ever finish their degree. Or, they can't get themselves on track. And then both parents are enabling, right? What's the way that we don't enable? Always remember Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest men in the universe, probably. And he never handed anything to his children. He didn't pay for their college. I don't pay for my children's college. My son has paid for it on his own. And he's going back and will continue to. My 18-year-old, or my soon-to-be 18-year-old, is going into college head first, and he was freaking about how he was going to pay for this. And I said, easy. Grants where they apply, other prizes and awards for things that he's done. And yes, eventually loans. That's what's going to happen. What you do is you stay in long enough to get a degree that's good enough to be able to pay back what and do it quickly. And so, it could be one of those situations where you're like, okay, I see what the problem is, universe. Me and my husband, or me and my wife, we are enabling our child. But remember Bill Gates, he said he wasn't paying their way. He was going to work their way to success, just like he did. One of the things that I think would make some people say, oh, come on, I can't believe you. Oh, yes, I actually can see why it's important. He's teaching them that just because they happen to be born into a family that became exceedingly prosperous doesn't mean that somebody's going to take their tests and pass them for them or make it easy. Baron Hilton. I think that's his name, right? Baron Hilton. We needn't say more. So just remember here that locating the solution will require action. You'll be able to do it easily. You've got really good astrology for problem solving and for prioritizing. I've already seen it. I've already done the work for next year. I know what I see. Yes, it will require rolling up your sleeves. And only because Saturn is in fellow fire sign Sagittarius. We'll talk about it for January. But that just means that you need to do your due diligence, because while Saturn is, getting ready to do the more concentrated work with Sagittarius, it's also going to help you as well. Saturn is helpful. Yes, it could feel like a pain in the ass or a thermometer right up the rear, but it is in your best interest. So while Sagittarius is learning, and we all are experiencing Saturn transiting Sagittarius, you and also Sagittarius, Leo, why am I missing? And Aries. So everybody's going to learn a lesson about budgeting here, and it will be decidedly financial. Now, I can't see your natal chart horoscope, so I don't know where Sagittarius is for you, but take note, because it'll help work for you. And with so many planets in Earth and so much grounded energy this year, it will be very practical and, hey, right up Saturn's alley. Friday, we've got the Seven of Swords. Five. And the Five of Swords is suggesting that taking the high road in all ways is the best. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to honor you the same. You're wonderful already. Not everybody is. But again, you're not here to tolerate, be the whipping boy, take it in any way, or be the one to buy the jar of Vaseline, okay? So if somebody's doing something to you, considering that Mercury has moved into Aquarius, and this is an air sign card, and Aquarius is your solar seventh house, there could be something going on in committed partnerships or relationships. And remember that just because you don't have a marriage or you don't have a committed partnership doesn't mean that you don't have a seventh house relationship of some kind. But the relationship can often be with yourself when we're at odds or in opposition to ourselves. For the purpose of this reading, Leo being your solar first house of self, the seventh house is of other, but it's also the reflection of who we are. You know, when we're looking for enemies, whether hidden or right out in the open, we're looking for them in the seventh house for good reason. There's your opposition. So here the Five of Swords talks about somebody actually stealing something from you. You know, the sense of being ripped off. So guard your possessions. Watch during the retrograde where you leave your credit cards, where you go shopping, your debit card, because you probably learned so much last year you don't have any credit cards at all, thank God. So this is the kind of energy where you could set your phone down and get it ripped off, where you could set your purse down, there it goes, where you sit down and you didn't notice that when the guy bumped into you, he pickpocketed you. I really like the clever introduction of these very slim kind of billfolds. They're not wallets for guys. They are, have you seen them? Swiss Army makes or not Swiss Army. Oh, now I can't think of their name. I had everything, my rolling cart trolley in college and everything, you know, freaking amazing stuff. Anyway, they make one that's wonderful, slips right into your front pocket. So men, it will not make you look fat. You know, you can put it right into your pocket. It needs to go in the front. I really think people need to move away from the idea of the wallet in the back. And chain or no chain, come on, probably only happens in Idaho and something like Tennessee. But you need to just start thinking of this, because when we have the Five of Swords in connection with the Mercury retrograde, we can definitely forget something valuable in a vehicle. Sometimes what happens with the retrograde and the Five of Swords is that we leave a dog in a car and somebody decides to steal your dog because it's friendly, it's small, and they're pissed at you for leaving it in there, or they're just going to steal it. So whatever it is, guard your possessions. This could also be a theft of intellectual property. For those of you who are writers and authors and filmmakers, you need to really keep that stuff to yourself. I learned long ago to not talk about, well, actually not that long ago, less than a year ago, I'm like, oh, I get it. I see how people could leech right off of me to take my hard work and do something with it. So I learned a way to circumvent that, but also a way to systematically locate them only when I get, you know, when people give me a heads up. But remember that this could be actually the theft of intellectual data. During a Mercury retrograde, I do have to mention that it could be something that was lost or stolen from you can be returned. Five of Swords upright and everything. I'm sure you think I'm nuts. But Mercury retrograde like this, that begins in air and then comes back into earth, and specifically Capricorn, you know, it could be that some payments of restitution are finally going to get underway. Not, you don't receive the money yet because we've got that Page of Pentacles in reverse, but it does mean that we're getting somewhere here. So never fear the Five of Swords upright. If you got a Mercury retrograde that starts in air and ends up in earth, you get it. Back, or at least the thieves are caught or whatever. And in a world where we're so busy, or could tend to be, like I sometimes bump my head into stationary objects because I'm moving too fast. I just want to get too many things done, and I'm really fighting hard. I don't want to become my mother. I don't want to rush through anything, and sometimes my kids are freaking out because I'm going too fast. And so make sure that you take your time to take note of where your possessions are. Mercury again moves into Aquarius at this point, and the Mercury retrograde pre-shadow phase intensifies. Saturday, we have the Nine of Wands. Again, I like it here for you. I actually like it here for you because this is keeping you on guard, and this is helping you be wary of what potentials are. When you leave your home, check the door when you go to work. and check it twice and get in your car. And if you're still not sure and you think you got to check it for a third time, it might require therapy. But you know what I'm saying. I think that you understand that you need to take some precautions. And this is good because this is the vigilant card. This is not the vigilante. This is a vigilant card. This is a person that's like, yeah, okay, so I'm watching out for the pitfalls financially here that could befall me because I know them. When Saturn was in Scorpio, it was affecting Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. And so we need to keep in mind that with Saturn in Sagittarius, a fellow air sign, Saturn in Sagittarius, which is a fellow fire sign, that you have plenty of checkups, pop quizzes from the universe to make sure that you learned some lessons, and or if you watch somebody else crash and burn financially, that you're like, damn, glad it's not me. I'm going to pray for them, but I just learned something new, not to do this thing over here. I'm not going to take a loan out on my vehicle in an emergency because of some other emergency that befell another emergency. Because what could happen if you have to take out some kind of a loan on your vehicle? You're probably already in more trouble than it's worth to go and compromise that thing that gets you to work anyway. So vigilant is good. Be mindful, look around. It could really be that you've got a spouse or partner or child that spends it as soon as they get it, and you're going to notice that it will be a decidedly financially oriented year in 2016. That doesn't mean it's got to choke you out and make it difficult. It means work it, because it's going to be really good for you. And I've seen people with very difficult aspects, including myself, work really damn hard. I think that's how I ended up in the emergency room, Saturday night. And, then they make more money because of it. I don't have a social life. I don't even get to talk to people. I don't even like to be on the phone. I work that way. I can only be on Facebook long enough to, I'm not even on Facebook posting these videos, and then long enough to throw a few things out there, vent something, throw something up all over Facebook when I was pissed about the hospital thing or whatever, but I've had my face in the books, and that's what you guys could really benefit from, is working it, using this energy, rolling up your sleeves. You'll see how much money you'll make. I guarantee you it could be a very strong financial year for you, if only because you're like, I like this. I want to do more of this. We also have, of course, the sun in reverse on Sunday. It doesn't cause any problems for you. It is very much like that Nine of Cups on Monday. The Nine of Cups always has a kind of, I don't want to say caveat. It is more like, why is the word escaping me? Catch-22 energy. You get what you want, but then you're like, wow. And I just, I think the credit card statement is going to show up and I'm going to shit my pants. The sun card in reverse is a little bit like that you're happy, but there's just something that doesn't quite sit well with you, or that you're like, well, I could have done a better job. Stop. Don't be me. I'm a Virgo rising. Do you know what it's like to be a Virgo rising, regardless of my Scorpio and all that? I criticize the crap out of myself. But I also had to work with people in the past who, one of them, the one I've referred to as Satan when I worked in banking, he was so critical. And even though I wanted to put the heel of my naturalizer pump in his freaking eye, I learned a few good things about criticizing my own work before anyone else does, so that I am almost impervious to criticism. You could say, Rita, you're stupid, your work sucks, and you're always wrong. And I'd be like, yeah, I know, I'm such a badass. Look at me, I'm a honey badger. And so I want you to remember that dwelling in it for too long is not going to help you. You got a lot of work to do, because, Leo, there's a lot of money to be made out there. You just need to, and we'll talk about this, get your budget in order pronto. That ninth house is also legal issues, so we don't want to forget something that could come and bite us in the ass, right there in the middle of Mercury retrograde. Get it all sorted out. Get your trajectory. This is the year 2016. I'll give you a heads up because you guys will remember that I told you this when you need it. This is a year for, Yeah, your A plan, your A game. But you need plan B, C, D, and maybe E. Because we're all going to be rolling up our sleeves and being very practical. Somebody could say, hey, Thelma, let's go on a road trip, look for Brad Pitt or a suitable look-alike, and spend money and kill people. And you're going to be like, oh, yeah, not this year, Louise. You got me last year, and it ain't happening again. God bless you. I'll be talking to you soon. Good luck financially. It's going to be great for you, you guys. Watch.